We both into the injury situation now, plagued defensively in particular. Billy, you touched on two there who obviously clearly will remain absent. Are there any signs of this easing at all for Brentford, or is it really, really bad?
I mean, it's really bad, but it is easy. It has to be said. We're so used. I'll tell you something. We're so used to the injuries. We're just a little bit kind of like, okay, kind of, we're a little bit whatever. Because the injuries weren't only this season or last season; they started the season before. So they started in our first season where we had players out for for months. I think, and Bumo, I think the season before was out for I don't know for 3 4 months. Honestly, we had players that are out, and we're just like, oh my god, because the first season that we were in the Premier League, we were okay. So it's and there's a because again our owner's a bit of a statty owner, or a bit of a statty owner, a very statty owner. His argument is that everything over time, everything sort of kind of pan themselves out. So if you have no injuries one season, you may have a lot of injuries in the season. So over a larger span, it kind of evens itself out. So I think when we got the injuries the second season, we go, there you go. We haven't had injuries for a few years, so it's evened itself out. But then the following year, like, oh no, we got more injuries, and then we had Ivan Toney, who had an injury of the betting kind as well. Like I'm saying, so he was out due to his betting injuries. So we had we had problems there where we had our main striker listing as well as a number of other players. So that's been a problem. But I say the lovely thing, the good thing is now it looks like we are slowly coming out the back of that. Um, Rico Henry, who was out for 16 months. So he's out for 16 months and he looks like he's going to be back. Well, I say looks like he came back against Plymouth, played 60 minutes against Plymouth. To be fair, he went off after 60 minutes. They scored after 80 minutes and they actually scored coming down his
Seen
side
it, seen a
as
goal,
well.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was down his side and then they all just left the player to just do what you want, mate.
He
Just
carried
run
it for
along
so
there and just
long, didn't he? He ran
he
inside
did.
for so long. I've seen him. Whitaker
Yeah.
wasn't Morgan Whitaker, yeah. I've seen that goal, yeah.
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 So Rico Henry is back, which is great because he's also looking like original Rico. We didn't put him in the full game against Man City. We only put him on for 5 minutes, and I think that part of the reason why is that you don't want to rush him in. Man City, playing against Man City is going to be completely different against playing against Plymouth. So they've got to ease him in, and I don't think we're actually going to probably fully get him back into gear until the Tottenham game, which is a couple of weeks' time. So I think he'll probably be sub against you, but what do I know? Also, we've got who else was injured as well? Okay, we've got. I shouldn't be laughing actually because it's just so ridiculous. Like we seem to buy players and then when we buy them, they get injured, right? I mean, ironically, Rico Henry, when we bought him originally from Warsaw years ago, he was injured and he was out for about 6 months before he actually could even play for us. But it keeps on happening as well. We had one player that came to us, can't remember his name is as well. We got him from Rangers as well, and he started playing for us, and then he went training, and then he tripped on a twig at the training ground, and he was injured. He was out for about a year and a half or something ridiculous like so we've got Thiago. We got Thiago from well, he came from Bruges, but he's a Brazilian
Yeah,
striker
yeah.
that we bought to replace Ivan Toney. Thiago, obviously, we're very excited about Thiago. Thiago plays his first pre-season match against AFC Wimbledon, plays for the first half, scores 2 goals. We're all very excited. He goes off. We're thinking, okay, let me just play a half. He goes off. We don't see him again for 4 months, 5 months. He comes back in December because he was injured. Comes back in December, plays about 3 games, looks quite good, and then he disappears and he's off again for another 4 months. You know what I'm saying? So again, these are the things that we've got when it comes to injury time as well. Aaron Hickey, he's been out for over a year. He's our right back. So we've got the left back that's been out, the right back's been out as well. Aaron Hickey, great right back as well. Lots of hype around him. Teams that said that they're after him, like Man United and stuff like that. But hopefully we'll keep on to him. So he's been out, and we thought he ain't coming back because every time he's meant to come back, it just gets, oh no, he's not coming back now. But then we've just renewed his contract till 2029 or something, or 20 something like 2031 or 29 or something. So he's got quite a long contract
Yeah.
extension, which makes us think you ain't giving him a contract extension if you don't think he's coming back. So that's going to be quite good as well. So we've got that. Jensen has been out for quite a while. I think he's been out for at least a month and a half or something like that as well. He's come back the last couple of games. So talking about our injuries, they're coming back slowly, and so Brentford Mark One is now moving it back into gear. So we're actually getting quite excited, and the fact that we're actually in the position that we are now considering the injuries, considering our ridiculously rubbish away form where we've lost every single game, literally every single game until we went to your mates Everton. They actually gave us a point. Thank you very much, Everton. And then we went to Southampton and we absolutely smashed them off the park as well, which, I can say that with joy because, when you haven't won a game away from home, when you beat somebody 5-0, then you could say, we smashed them off the park and you feel happy. And it is Southampton and you can only beat what's put in front of you, but we still, with Southampton, we beat them off the park and it should have been 9. So other than that, we've been terrible away from home. So I'm very pleased where we are in the league at the moment now because it could be a lot worse, but it just goes to show you that we're a decent team.
No, I was going to say exactly that. It shows you exactly what you just said right at the end there, Billy. You are a very good side with some high quality players and a well drilled, very well organised outfit that again Thomas Frank has got a tune out of regardless of personnel. Really, yeah, that's testament to him. It really is. I like Aaron Hickey. He was from Bologna, I think I'm right in saying. I think he went from
Bologna,
like
that's where he came
Hearts to
from. Yeah.
Bologna. Yeah, quite an
Yeah.
impressive young player. Like in the Serie A team of the year at one point. So yeah, very high hopes, and yeah, hopefully he
Yeah.
come back for you fit and strong, but maybe not at the
Yeah.
weekend.
Nah.
You've just touched on it there. We both touched on it really in terms of maybe the reasons as to why Brentford have continued to do well this season in spite of all the injuries. Two of those reasons, to me, from the outside looking in, Brian and Bremo and Johan Visser. And probably the third reason I'm going to ask you about, and this is slightly off kilter to what I normally say, because normally I just name the key players at this point and the danger men. But I'm going to ask you the question, because one of the reasons I fear Brentford in this game in particular so much is your set pieces, because they are a proper threat. Is that still the case, and how good have the first two players been?
Okay, I'll answer the first question. Bumo's been on fire. There's it's funny because every time we come down, all my Liverpool mates keep saying, right, when do you come in? When's he coming? When's he coming? I'm just like, just calm down, just calm down. Okay, that's a conversation that I don't really want to have. But saying that Brentford, as we are, we're now used to our players leaving. We know that we're a club of a particular size. We're not putting ourselves down. The way the club's operated since the new owner took over over 10 years ago was, we recycle the players when they get to the top of their game. We sell them off and you bring in new players. And they said we'll always get a player who will, be as good or even better than the previous player that you sold. I think that's I think that gets really hard because when you've got a player who is literally at the top of their game, it's going to be really hard to bring in a player to match them. And we've had scenarios back in the day where we've had players who were brilliant. Andy Sinton, which is going back quite a while, who was a fantastic player for us. And then we bought a player called Eddie May from Falkirk, right? And it's funny because he looked exactly like Andy Sinton. He had a little wedge haircut and he played on the same side, but he wasn't Andy Sinton, and he got old dog's abuse from the fans, and he wasn't very happy. So he left in a huff and went back to Falkirk. He went back to Scotland, and we never saw him again. Except when we went up there to support some of the Brentford players that got transferred to Falkirk. But that's a different story altogether. But what I'm saying is that it becomes very hard when you have to step in people's shoes, and I think Brian Mbumo is going to be very hard to step into his shoes because I think he's an unbelievable player. He was very good from when he started, but we've developed him over a long time. I think we've had him for about 6 seasons. I think we got him in 2018, 2017, 2018, I think it is. So yeah, we've developed him over a long period of time. And I remember when we bought him and I spoke to the director of football and he just said to me, look, Brian is a very skillful player potentially, but he's very young at the time. So he's making mistakes at the time and all the fans are going, oh my God, he's hit the post 8 times this season. Like this, that, the other. And they're like, don't worry about it. He's still young and he'll learn and he'll develop. And he has developed unbelievably. And he's going to be a massive miss, I say if he goes, but when he goes, the surprise has been Wissa, just because Wissa he was always like a super sub that you bought on and he'd come on and for 15 minutes because he's like a real live wire and he'd cause lots of problems. You think, wow, this player's he's quite good. But then when you put him on to start, he never had that impact. So it will all be going, oh God, let's leave Wissa off the bench. So it's almost like one of those players that you wanted to have on the bench and he'd come on for 10 minutes and have a bit of an impact. And he was almost like living in the shadow because Ivan Toney was there and Ivan Toney was a big player and Ivan Toney scored lots of goals. And it's kind of like, Ivan Toney, Wissa, Mbumo, will Wissa fit him? No, let's bring him on if we have to take, Mbumo off or something like that. When Ivan Toney went missing because he got his ban, it forced us to put in Wisa, and it forced Mbumo to be the top boy. And that's when Wisa started to shine, and he was absolutely brilliant. And also last year's African Cup of Nations as well. Wisa went out there, or this year, last year's African Cup of Nations, and also he kind of took things up a level where he played really really well then. So those two players, like I said to you, absolutely, phenomenal
Yeah.
players for Brentford. What was it? Sorry, what's
Set
the other half of your
pieces,
question as well?
set pieces.
Oh,
So yeah,
set,
that feels to me like a real sort of attacking weapon for you guys. It certainly was in the games you mentioned before when you've caused us a whole manner of problems. Visa was actually a part of the problems that you caused, but yeah, we just couldn't live or cope with your set pieces. It felt like every time you had a corner, it was a goal scoring opportunity or in fact a goal.
us, I mean, things are different again because of personnel.
Mm.
Don't forget, set pieces before we had Ivan Toney. Okay. And Ivan Toney is great attacking the ball, great at holding the ball up, great in different areas. And we've got different personnel now. I think that set pieces, even though, yes, and we've also got a different set piece coach because every time like we're great at set pieces, then somebody nicks or whatever you are, everyone nicks everyone off us. You know what I'm saying? So I think actually, and you're going to obviously recognize this. I think Arsenal have got our set piece coach, one
Yeah.
of our set
Yeah.
pieces coaches for beforehand. So you can see that. And also tell you who also nicked our latest set piece coach was Chelsea. So Chelsea
Okay.
fairly recently nicked our set piece coach. So we got a new set piece coach, and like I said to you, he's doing all right. But I don't think that we are reliant as much, and I'm saying this now without checking the stats on set pieces as we were beforehand. I think scoring goals from open play is definitely kind of one of our big games as well. One of our big, and basically hitting teams on the break is something that we do because we're rapid. Up front we are rapid. Defensively we've got problems because of the chopping around of the defenses we've had. But up front we are rapid. But listen, we can still got the long throws in there that we throw into the mixer. With corners we haven't been as effective with corners as we have been back in the past. But you never know; things may change.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and I sound like I'm disrespecting your general play. I'm really not. Brentford are a good side. I've said it a few times already since we've been chatting. But yeah, it felt to me, again, I said it a moment ago, set pieces were a real string to your bow and a real problem for defences. Certainly our defence on a couple of occasions. So yeah, I was wondering if it
Tell
was
you
something.
something.
Go on.
And I've got to say, and I've got a little point because I'm just going to throw something in against one of your sort of inverted commas promotional rivals who's going to go in there. So Arsenal, okay. So it's interestingly so. When we played Arsenal in the first season, and obviously we beat them first game of the season 2-0, and I think one of the goals was one of our players long throw in there, flicks in, ball goes in the back of the net. So afterwards, of course, like every radio station wants to get you on talking about Brentford beating Arsenal. So I'm on there and I'm thinking I'm on a 1-to-1 with Robbie from AFTV,
Oh,
who's a good
yeah,
mate of mine. And
yeah,
and as you know, we were all on a triangle on Ball Street together, sort of
yes, of
back in the
course,
day.
yeah.
Sort of Robbie when he was still a surveyor, before he actually went full time, with AFTV, and I was doing my thing as well with Beesotted. I think we were the only sort of non-Premier League team that was on Ball Street at the time. We were still proud of that. But anyway, I digress. So Robbie, so we were on that, and then so we were just, listen, you could tell I'm still happy to be. It's the fourth season in the Premier League. We're just happy to be here. It's just having a laugh, happy to be here, playing football. You win some, you lose some. That's what it is. I most enjoy going away days, meeting away fans, chatting with them, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to be there. We've just beaten Arsenal, and I'm on with Robbie, and Robbie's trying to hold it together. And I like Robbie; he's kind of cool. And like I said, yeah, we were really brilliant. And we've scored the goal, and we put the goal in. We're all really happy. And then Robbie on that show, it's on BBC Radio 5, I think it was this, yeah, well, Brentford, they're like Stoke City, like the new Stoke City. And I was like, oh, yeah, with their long throws and their set pieces and all this kind of stuff. And he's like that. So afterwards, I pulled him up. I said, Robbie, what do you mean we're like the new Stoke City? He goes, yeah. I said, did you see the football we played in the Championship? We can play football, but we switch it up and we can play on the floor or we can play with set pieces. Anyway, roll on 4 years. Who's the new Stoke City now? Like, what I'm saying? The Arsenal,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Flipped on its head,
Arsenal.
that one. Yeah, yeah, it's flipped back. Any side that owns side Ben Rama for a little while played footy, mate. Let me tell you right now, because
Yeah,
at you
yeah,
guys, he was proper. He was, yeah, maybe
yeah,
not
yeah.
lesser at West Ham, but yeah, with you, he was a proper baller.